Bringing you the voice and vision of custom culture and lifestyle, as seen through the eyes of this South Texas duo. Welcome to the Custom Couple. Kate and Morgan, welcome to the Custom Couple, now that I've finally figured out all these audio problems here. So, thank you for jumping on with us. We definitely appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course. We've been looking forward to it.
So, tell us a little bit about what y'all do. For one, Kate, you lost your Instagram about a week ago. I know that was a little bit heartbreaking because you got to go back and do all that over again. But give us a little bit of background about y'all.
For sure. So I own a studio called Asphalt Canvas Custom Art. I've been open as a full-time professional artist since 2013. 14. And I do commission-based artwork in pencil, automotive enamels, and watercolor and pen and ink. And so I've been working here out of my studio, home-based studio, now for, like I said, about 4 years. So that's what I do. And then Morgan.
So I haven't really delved into doing my own stuff up until this year. I've always been working full-time. I'm normally, in my professional career, I'm a licensed funeral director.
Oh, wow.
So recently I've kind of changed jobs into, I work for a city running a city. So I got a lot more free time, and I figured finally get into doing my own thing. So I started my own blog, if you will, called Texas Original Culture. Kind of started talking about, more of the hot rod stuff, things I'm into. But as Kate pointed out, one day it was like, I love Texas. It's my home state. It's where I'm from. And it's kind of evolved quickly over into it's about, Texas culture.
Like barbecue, barbershop.
Artisan, craftsmen.
Different
Texas.
Welders, craftsmen, hot rod shops. All those is what his plan is, kind of to interview them and kind of show the scene down here in Texas. So it's perfect that we get to talk to y'all because y'all are
Yeah, absolutely. Where in Texas are y'all located?
So we're in between Austin and Waco, and in Belton, which is right by Temple as well.
Oh, okay.
Kind of central to everything.
I spent a bunch of time in Central Texas. Of course, we're down here in San Antonio, but I used to run in a car club up there in the Cali area. So even though we live in San Antonio, we were making trips to Cali like once a month at least. So we spent a bunch of time in the Central Texas area. Plus, of course, our biggest car show of the year is Roundup. So everybody goes to Austin for that. So
absolutely.
So
here for the same reason. When I'm originally from California, and I went to school out here at Mary Hardin Baylor, and I just I fell in love with the area for pretty much everything he's writing about in his blog, and then of course just the culture here in general. I love Texas for so many different reasons.
Where at in California?
I lived in it was a small town called Twin Peaks, but it was down south in the San Bernardino Mountains.
Oh, nice. I'm from San Jose, that's why.
Oh, cool. California girls.
Yeah, we both ended up in Texas.
Yes. I still love California to visit, but I'm very grateful to live here in Texas.
Oh yeah, no, completely.
When it comes to the cost of living, I can imagine that it's very different.
Definitely.
But that's why people from California keep showing up. It's getting more and more expensive to live out there.
Yeah, but we moved here before it was cool, so...
That's right. Before it was trendy, we were here.
Oh, such a hipster answer.
Married the one thing I despise.
I mean, he did the same, so what's up? Who really won here?
That's right. California transplant.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Absolutely. So of course, one of the things that threw y'all onto our radar, for one, was y'all being a couple in the culture, and that's kind of what we have been trying to get more and more stories from. So like we've got some friends down in Australia that are going to be on the show soon, and we're
cool.
trying to line up this whole idea. So y'all are actually the first couple that we've interviewed as a couple in the culture. We were just talking about that before we got on. It's like, this is the first one we've done. We're 26 episodes in, and this is the first couple that we're actually
Oh, that's so cool. I can't wait to hear about the Australian couple. Every Australian person I have ever met has been like made of gold, the best people ever. So either they're super talented or they're really nice or they're both.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah, it's actually one of our sponsors. The lady, her name is also Samantha.
Yeah.
She does all of Sam's earrings and jewelry.
Oh, is that the deluxe?
Yes.
Oh, I love them. I love them so much. That's so cool.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna have them, but we're Sam and Lane, and they're Sam and Luke. So,
wow.
so we're like, oh, okay.
So it's very cool to have y'all on here. But Kate, you hit our radar when you did an interview with Gnarly Magazine.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So we wanted to touch on that a little bit, as far as your artwork goes and all of that, and then the fact that you won the contest a couple years ago with Red Cap Clothing and got to have one of your designs at SEMA. So I mean, that there's just a whole line of awesomeness. I have the same thing going on here with my wife. She absolutely holds the spotlight over both of us, and I just kind of stand off to the side and let her do her thing. But
yes, I'm pretty lucky with my husband. He's been, my number one supporter.
I got to go to Vegas for free, so I was pretty happy.
Perks.
Yes, absolutely. But that SEMA, the whole contest with SEMA was like really where obviously I've always been interested in cars. My family's we've been about cars since I was a little girl, but that SEMA contest is where I really was able to kind of solidify in my own mind that I quote unquote belonged, I guess. It was that I had made it, and so, but really honestly, that wouldn't have happened had Morgan not been the one to so how that all happened is I found that advertisement for the contest on a Facebook sponsored ad. And I was like, oh, I've never even heard of this company, but I could totally, the minute I saw the advertisement, it said design this shirt for 2018 SEMA or something like that. And I looked through their little ad and I instantly came up with something in my head. And of course I just pocketed that idea. And then the night before the deadline of the contest, we were sitting at dinner and I was just telling him, oh yeah, there was this thing and I might do it. I'm not sure. And he's like, what the hell is your problem? It's get in your studio and paint something tonight. And so I had run out of enamel paint, but the color I needed. So I painted half of it in acrylic paint, half of it in enamels on this old
which that kind of spurred the whole enamel on canvas.
Yeah, it did. Now that I look back on it, yes. But that I painted it on this old hideous self-portrait I did of myself in college, and I painted over that and then painted the little design on it. And then a week later I was at this chamber function and the little high school lady behind the desk was like, somebody's calling for you. And it happened to be the lady at Red Cap. And she said I had won the national competition. So I was in an element or high school setting. And so I had to be oh, okay, thank you so much. And I gave her the phone back and I walked outside and I was like, yes! So it was awesome. It was so cool. And then we got to drive out there in our Polera on Route 66. So it was a blast of a trip.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Made it so we're never gonna have this opportunity. So why don't we drive the Polera and just do it?
Yeah, and Red Cap worked. They were gonna give us both plane tickets to fly to SEMA, and we had just really kind of put a lot of money into the Polera, not so much to make it look nice, but just drivable.
Yeah.
And so we asked them, we were like, can we use the funds and actually drive there? Because we had like 2 weeks off work, and I had been on Route 66 as a little girl, but he had never been.
I had never been west of Junction, Texas till I met her.
Yeah. And so Red Cap was so cool, the company, and they worked with us and allowed us to drive out there. And of course, I think they were kind of like crossing their fingers that we were actually going to make it on time, because they were like, what?
Yeah, everybody was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
You're driving a 60-year-old car across the country?
Yeah. So, and it was great, man. It was a trip of a lifetime. We can't thank that company enough for their hospitality and the opportunity they gave us.
That is so awesome. What year is that Polara?
It's a 64.
64. Oh,
so the number,
more Mopar people.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely, through and through.
Oh man, I married into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 64. I came from a family of Chevy and Ford people. My grandfather and his brother owned a dealership in my hometown in the 60s. And I was actually the only, in like the region, the only indoor showroom. So that was kind of cool. And that's the logo we ended up painting. I wanted a project car, and her brother had bought it to flip it and resell it.
While we were dating.
Yeah, and couldn't find a buyer because it's a 4-door. And I said, well, it runs and drives, I'll buy it. And so I paid him some cash, then we traded a gun and a press. Fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta love Texas. I mean, we can trade about anything down here.
True.
We've done it. We've definitely done that. We've traded junk cars, and just throw a couple bucks on top of it, and maybe a gun that might be all right. And yeah, I love that.
I love it too. And it makes for such a cool story,
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, I got a little bit of noise coming through on this end. I apologize.
No worries.
As far as the Gnarly Magazine, the whole Gnarly Magazine interview, like they've kind of shifted, I know, into a new setting for their magazine. But Johnny is the guy who I had been working with, who's the backing of the old magazine, Gnarly Magazine. And so they, like, from day one, when I got on Instagram, man, they supported my work so much. And so when they started the podcast, I was all about it. I listened to all of them, and then I got invited, and Nick was the host at the time, and he was great to talk to. He's one of those people that, like kind of like y'all, where you kind of like ask a question and then like it's like the floodgates. He's just very easy to, but yeah, they've been really great, and they were really interested in like the Rat Fink licensing that I have to be able to paint Rat Fink and be a part of that legacy. And so we talked a lot about that. And Nick, actually the host of that podcast, won one of the Rat Fink paintings I raffled off. I think it was last year. I did a lot of raffles last year because of COVID. I had a low-key show schedule, which meant no shows. So I did a lot of like online raffles and giveaways and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how a lot of the artists had to make their living last year when everything was closed. Yeah. No shows, no car shows, no functions whatsoever. So yeah, I can imagine it got a little hairy, trying to get that figured out. Tell us a little bit about that licensing of being able to draw Rat Fink, or what our listeners out there are probably like, what, I doodle this thing all the time. What do you mean I can't?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because people don't really talk about it that much, but like there's a whole family of artists that have applied for this licensing. And when I started full time, that was something that was really important to me because Rat Fink has always been part of I love Rat Fink and what he stands for. But I knew as an artist and pinstriper, I was going to be asked to paint that and then in return be getting paid for that. And that little creation wasn't something that I did. I knew that there was going to be copyright issues. And so I had friends already who were licensed Rat Fink artists. And I like was so nervous to ask because it's kind of like this little secret world of artists that are licensed. And I just reached out to her, my friend at the time, and asked like, hey, how do you do this legally and do right by the Roth family? And she let me know. And I submitted my portfolio and got the license. And so now I'm able to I personally, I'm able to sell it. And then of course a small proceed goes back to the Roth family and their legacy that they've created. But I've personally made it a point to number each of the paintings I've done since that first day of licensing, just to kind of for my own so I know what I'm doing, but also for the clients, whoever gets that wrap paint piece has like something that's signed by me, Ed Roth, and it's numbered. So it's kind of hopefully, your art's only as important as you make it seem. So
Yeah.
That's what I used to tell people when I was playing music all the time. So if
absolutely.
nobody will promote me as best as I can.
That's so true, and it's a lesson learned. I mean, I learn it all the time. The irony in all of it now is that my Instagram, like you said, got shut down, and the reason being was for like they try to say that
community guidelines.
Yeah, that I like copyrighted somebody's artwork, and I like had to prove that all the artwork on there was mine, and they still like there was nobody that came back and helped me with it. So here I am back to square one. But I mean, it is what it is.
It'll build back up, no problem.
Yeah,
no problem at all.
You're already up to 1,500 followers.
Oh yeah, people
had
no posts, and people were following me, and I was just so freaking grateful. Gosh, I still can't believe that. I still can't believe it.
And that's the kind of crappy thing about social media is that a lot of folks you can go on there and report somebody's one picture and people have their pages shut down like that.
Yeah.
And there's nobody to talk to. There's nobody to get a hold of and dispute
they won't tell
it.
you why or who did it or anything.
Yeah, it's just
No, that happened to a TikTok I made when we went to a car show. I made it, and like within, I think, an hour, it was like gone. They like shut down my account. They're like, "Oh, you can't post for like a week." And I was like, "What the hell happened?" Like, I was just doing fine because I had like 19,000 followers on TikTok for like car stuff, for hair stuff, and it just shut down. And I was like, "Oh, well, I've done it before." Like, I was just like, I told him, I was like, I shouldn't be that mad, but I am that mad because there was no reason for it.
Well, with that said, like I listen to, I'm like a geek about like marketing podcasts and stuff. And I've been ever since I started my business. And so in lieu of Instagram, I had like, my Pinterest, and then I had my email newsletter. And so I was able to let people know, like I still had contact outside of these rented platforms like Instagram and Facebook. And so if anyone is listening that's just starting a business, I would highly suggest, like, even if you have no website, like start getting people's email addresses so that if you have something like this happen, which I hate to say it, but it's probably guaranteed that at some point you will lose those like followers and contacts, like you were just saying, even with TikTok, you at least have the people that have given you their email that actually really care, so much so that they gave you a part of their own property that you now can,
direct way of contact.
Yeah, now you can serve it. You can serve them through that instead of just relying solely on like a little square that stays up for like 5 seconds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Man, I miss MySpace.
Oh man, I miss the phone that's attached to the wall. Like that's how old school I would rather be.
And it was funny because when I was starting my whole thing, we had listened to a podcast a while back. I got a guy who built his company on doing newsletters by mail, print out the old-fashioned way, and that's how he sells. That's his business, selling that to companies for marketing. And we were debating, like, maybe on mine, do a newsletter by school, because you can, when something's in print, you can't be censored or go away. It's done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the only thing that would hold you back at that point is the postal service.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, isn't that? I didn't even think of that. Yeah, and I'm doing that too. With the freaking like 9-day mail delivery.
Right.
Then you have those people waiting by the mailbox, like, where is it? It says it's here. It hasn't showed up.
I know. I'm so grateful. Like, even especially last year, I was so nervous about how people were going to react to like the shit. I mean, nothing is guaranteed. I was so grateful people were very understanding for the most part about the shipping delays and all that. But I mean, anybody that's a product-based business has had that issue. So
any consumer has.
Yeah. Too.
Absolutely. Morgan, tell us a little bit more about your blog and maybe some of the folks that you've already talked to and people you plan to talk to. So
I haven't really talked to anybody particular yet. I got my first lined up. I just needed to do it. It's right now I'm working through my series kind of about how the player came to be. I've got the first part out there. The second one is supposed to be released this week, this coming week, and then the third one in about 2 weeks. A 3-part series about the Polera.
And like how it's been restored and and the kind of the history behind why we did, how we painted it and things like that.
The reasonings behind it.
Yeah.
So this all kind of morphed into what it is now I've met a lot of really interesting people in our travels. Like we would go to Albert, for the weekend to Fredericksburg. We went to Albert Ice House, Dance Hall. And this old guy just comes up and talks to us, and turns out he's really well known in the area, and he does that to everybody. And I've met people like that throughout my life, especially doing what I do, and I run with the older crowd, if you will.
He does. Some of his best friends are like in their 70s.
Yeah. So it's just, I love hearing their stories of how, the way it used to be, or we used to sneak beer from the beer joints, and Daddy wouldn't know until we came home drunk. And hearing those stories and about how the culture was back then in Texas and the rural areas and even the cities, it's really interesting. You don't hear that or read that history book, so someone, I think, should document it.
Well, that's why like a lot of his term is like mostly true, because
you never know if these old guys are telling you the truth.
Yeah.
No, that just, you know what that it reminded me of? So we were driving my Thunderbird, my 60 Thunderbird, to like Sonic or something. We decided to go, and this like van like pulls in right next to us like really fast, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get hit. And he's like, is this your Thunderbird? I was like, yes. And he's like, I used to steal these things and drive them around and just take them all around town, but I always made sure to fill it up with gas, so when that person found their car, they had a full tank of gas. And like he wasn't coming into the Sonic at all. He stopped to come and talk to us and tell us, and he's like, all right, well, have a good night. And I was like, this guy's gonna steal my car.
Yes.
Well, it's like we went one night, it was one of our first Valentines. We went to Belotti's John T. Floor's store, and we saw Reverend Horton Heat. And I bought us backstage passes to meet the band to the Valentine's Day. Well, 2 Tons of Steel was opening for them. Well, while they were playing, this old man, he was there by himself. But he comes out, he goes, "Can I dance with your date here?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. I trust you." And so we got to talking to him, and he used to work at, was it Shiner?
Yeah, Shiner.
He was a brewmaster at Shiner Brewery.
Nice.
And he's had all these interesting stories. So like, I gotta buy you a beer. He was like, "Oh, I only drink Dr. Pepper,
and I'm on my second one,
and I can only have 2." But he's like, "If you go buy it, they'll let me have a third."
Yeah.
And we met him, and then
he's a great dancer. I danced with him like twice that night.
Then we saw something on Facebook. He had passed away, and he was another one of those older characters that everybody kind of just knew.
But at the time we met him, we had no idea like how like quote unquote infamous he was. You know?
He just kind of hung out with us the rest of the evening.
And he just kind of became fast friends, and we never forgot him. So when we saw the news that he had passed, like we really like took it to heart, and they had a whole thing at Floor's Country Store for him, like honoring his memory, and we were like so touched that he took the time to like talk to us. You know, so cool. So that's what he's gonna really highlight.
Those types of characters, like not hometown heroes, but
like the characters of every like small town, you know.
Right. Yeah, that's a really cool idea.
That's like Elvis here, that one guy.
Yeah, Elvis. We have Elvis.
We have a Mexican Elvis.
Yeah, he's the Mexican Elvis. He rides around the west side of San Antonio on his bicycle. Of course, I grew up right down the street from Floor's. I spent a lot of time out at that dance hall. My folks, they love to dance for one, so I grew up dancing with my mom. And spent a lot of time there, and then there's another dance hall down the way from there as well called Braun Hall. We spent a lot of time there. My dad actually worked at Braun Hall when he retired from the Air Force. So yeah, those small little hardwood dance floors. Those are the best places to go.
Yeah.
I'm working on a series right now that
You've probably seen it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope people have seen it, but it's called She's Been Everywhere, Man. And right now it's about like iconic places in America. But as a sister series to that, I've been thinking about like highlighting Texas dance halls and the same thing where it's like the dance hall, the car, and the pinup girl kind of all in the same painting, and it will also be enamel on canvas. But we'll take vacations and like weekend trips just for the dance hall, like just for that experience to see like those different historic buildings and like learn about the history of that place. Yeah. So it's super cool.
That's really cool. Yeah, when you get started on that one, Braun Hall will be definitely one of the ones you want to try to do.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's here in San Antonio, and I believe it has one of the oldest dance floors. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really? Braun, Braun.
Yeah.
Okay. Throw it down.
Oh, I do the same thing.
The place we had our wedding reception at, it's a community center out in it's a little community called Corn Hill. And all the old timers say it's because there's so many whiskey stills in the woods out there. That's why they call it that. But it's mostly true. But we go there every Thursday. They have like a community meal where, it's whatever she feels like making. Mm-hmm. And then beers are like $2.50. And it's just like all the old farmers come out and, and that's where you hear all those old stories. And, when they used to have dances upstairs and only the beer was served downstairs.
And we're trying to get younger people out to that life, like come out and preserve it, because once all these older people start passing away, like it's important, at least for me and him, to like somehow preserve that, whether it's, through like painting or word or interviews like this, storytelling of any kind, and
photos.
It's really important to keep the culture of Texas alive, as I'm sure you guys know too. I mean, I love San Antonio. I've been there only a handful of times, but had I had to live in the city, man, San Antonio. If we ever move, I'm moving into a city, which he'll never let me do that. So
don't let her do it.
No, our next move is probably out to the country, hopefully. So.
Yeah, that would be our next move.
Yeah.
What keeps us here is I'm an aircraft mechanic and she's a nurse.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
we're working all the time.
Yeah, we kind of have to be close to work. But we're already looking at bigger houses and pieces of property that
mostly
are just
for cars,
just outside of the city limits.
Right here.
Yeah. Like I've been getting. I had to constantly. We refinanced our house, so I'm finally getting to build a shop that we need and always wanted. So
I know we say we need it, but like I know it sounds like such first world.
No, we really
like need a shop so bad.
We have 4 to 5 cars on average in a 1-car garage. So
yeah.
That's crazy. About right. We got 4, almost 5 at one point, and I was like, "We can't keep playing musical cars. This sucks."
Oh yeah, exactly. Well, musical cars.
It's always fun when you have to work on one to move it out of the way to work on the one you want to work on.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nope, exactly.
We've definitely done that. That's why I was like, wait, are you going to work on this for the next 2 weeks or no? Because if not, I'm not going to move this car.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Russian roulette.
Right, because if you don't move a car and then it comes up, we needed it to move, or in our case, if the city needs it to move.
Yeah.
Same here. Yes.
Yeah. There's a big discrepancy there. It's like, well, I didn't finish the brake job that needed to get finished last week. So
I think
we got this.
I'm just laughing because I'm thinking of like all these times our poor neighbors next door, they're like really like big men, and I was like, hey, my Thunderbird died, I need y'all to push it up the hill, and they're like, okay, like completely manhandled that car into the driveway. I was like, thank you, I can go inside.
Yes. For those people.
We got this guy that lives not even on our street. He's like 3 blocks over, but he's part of the Citizen Police Academy or whatever.
Air quotes.
So like when her brother lived here before we were married, we were kind of renting the house out to him, and he had his car on jack stands. He has a 71 Duster, and he had it on jack stands for one night, and he came out the next morning to finish working on it because he had to wait on parts. And there was a warning from the police department where that guy had called in for being on jack stands for overnight.
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm sure we could talk about those stories forever.
And then like we had a little runaround car that was new to us to save gas for me to work. And just last week, we had it a month. We had it parked on the street because we had the player out of the garage, and a drunk driver creamed into the back of it, totaled it.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Well, it sat out there for about 2 days tops.
In the front of our house.
The first day we had police department knocking on our doors saying they've had complaints. And I was like, I know it's that
guy.
asshole down the street. Yeah.
He's out to get us.
Yeah.
I love that meme where it says like, you know, it's like a picture of like all the like junky cars in the driveway, and they're like, if your neighborhood doesn't have this, it's probably you.
Yep. That's us.
Yeah. If you can't name this person, you're the guy.
You're the person. Exactly.
We're lucky that we live in like the older neighborhood, so all of our like they're all in their like 60s and 70s, retirees, vets, all that fun stuff. So when they see old cars, they get excited. I'm like, but really, they don't know that they're junk right now. I was like, they think they're so beautiful. I'm like, all right, we're lucky. We're lucky right now.
Yes, yeah. They don't know the ins and outs.
Right. It's like, look at that Oldsmobile. Don't look at the driveway under it.
Yeah, no.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
So what have y'all got coming up? Any more travels? I know y'all have kind of been going around and doing some things lately, and that's why it's taken us so long to get y'all on the show.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, what do you want
No, go ahead.
to talk about? Maybe?
I mean, when is this podcast releasing?
Well, for all of our listeners, it released today. No, it will release in about 2 weeks.
So like after Thanksgiving, maybe.
Let me look. Hold
The
on.
week
let me look.
of Thanksgiving, actually.
I don't have my damn phone on me. I'm smart.
Oh, it's fine. It's fine.
They don't run in the same.
Yeah, I believe this is releasing the week of Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving. Well, the reason we wanted to like check.
It's been a hectic. Okay, so we went to Yellowstone on that trip, and we took the Jeepster. On our way back, our truck blew up, engine locked up. Story short, it kind of led into us refinding the house, which kind of was all in good timing because we found out 3 weeks ago that we're pregnant.
Yeah.
Yay!
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why life's been a bit hectic right now.
Yeah, that's our next big adventure. But outside of that,
congrats.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
congrats.
thank
Thank
you guys.
you. So-
You're the first people we've announced it to
Yeah.
as far as like.
Yay!
Yeah, so
We've been that for everybody. Like two of our other friends told us, they're like, we haven't told anybody. I'm like, man, that's so nice.
Yeah, you guys just have that vibe, I guess.
We're like our parents know obviously,
Yeah.
but like my family, we're not telling because they live in East Texas. So we're not telling them until we get there for Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
So
but they're like older and they're not gonna. I mean, no offense to y'all, but they probably won't listen to
they
this.
just run it.
They won't listen to it until you tell them to listen
Yeah.
to it
Now,
later.
Her family, on the other hand, we've been like, so we heard the podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got some trips still planned. I associated myself, I guess, with they're having the what do they call it? Hot Rod Tour of Texas.
Mhm.
Oh,
Coming
nice.
In April.
End of April, last weekend of April. So we're going to be going from starting in Victoria, going up to Alamo City Motorplex, I believe is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
Drag strip there.
Yeah.
They're going to have drag racing there, and then we're going to go like all through the hill country, go up to all Wimberley, that whole area for cool drives, and then over to Little River Dragway,
Which is close to where we live.
yeah, and it's old historic drag strip. Lane used to be the highway
And like Don Gartlett's used to race there.
back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a
cool
cool,
track.
and it's where they used to have the day of the drags for the roundup.
Yes.
But and then we're going all the way up to Dallas to Summit Racing is where it ends.
Oh,
So,
wow.
3-day cruise.
Wow. That's a big ride. I think about it, I was like, wow, all the little
It's
stops.
gonna be long.
I think it's either the first year or second year it's the second year he's officially done it, but the first year I don't know if he really it was a big deal or not, but like we have a Facebook group, Hot Rod Tour of Texas, and there's like 2,000 members. So if everybody does this, it's going to be like a trail of cars.
Yeah.
Mm.
Anybody's welcome to join the
Yeah.
group. If y'all are interested or anybody listening wants to join, I mean, please come on.
And then next weekend, we're going to be talking on what was that podcast called?
I can't remember.
On a podcast about the tour.
Which it'll be posted in that group.
Yeah.
Probably.
I can't think of the name of it,
Yeah.
but
But April's a busy month though because
and we might be going to Battle Rod next weekend.
Yeah, Battle Rod.
We will be there. I will be competing for Miss Battle Rod.
Awesome!
Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's kind of on our radar. We're just waiting to nail down a few things before we can actually commit.
Yeah, it's as we said, it's been kind of a crazy couple weeks. So
well, if y'all go, we definitely need to get pictures and meet in person.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. April's gonna be really busy in 2022 because that's also when I'm hoping to release my 10 paintings, the series I was talking about, the series. So I'm, come hell or high water, the series is going to be in April. It's been over a 2-year process, but I'm working with Speed and Culture magazine, and Trent Sherrill is sponsoring a portion of the series, as well as Alpha Enamel Paint out of Detroit. They're sponsoring a portion of it as well. So I have 7 paintings done, and I'm working on the remaining paintings this month up until March. And then I'm hoping to have an actual live exhibition where all the paintings are announced, and that, we'll do something online too, so people can purchase prints and hopefully some stickers and kind of introduce that whole series. Yeah. So I'm excited for that.
And that sounds amazing.
I was gonna say that's exciting. Yes. Oh, I'm so excited to see.
Thank you. Yeah, I would love to have y'all at the show. Like I said, it's been between we moved. So I announced the series, and then he had an unexpected job change, so we moved. And then COVID, and then COVID happened, and then I had some health issues with my arm and neck. I pinched a nerve in my neck last year, so I wasn't able to paint for almost 4 months, and then now baby, which is a good thing, but it's just so many life things. Yes. And so once these 10 paintings are done, I'm excited to show them to the world. So, and that's all on my website. If anybody's interested in reading the blogs about all the different paintings and the inspiration behind them. Like I said, it's based off of the Johnny Cash song, I've Been Everywhere. So they're all travel inspired, and they have a lot of retro pinup and old school cars that Trent has actually photographed that I'm using for reference. And most of the models in the paintings are actually live women that I've worked with to incorporate their artwork, as pinup models into my artwork as an artist. So
that is so cool. Trent is such a cool guy to hang out with.
Oh yeah, he's so fun. Absolutely. We've talked to him twice now, and we're actually partnering up with doing stuff with him and Mikey Brown. Great. Mm-hmm.
He actually came out when she first started the series and did a little. He filmed it and did an interview type thing. Yeah. And that was really cool. So that was kind of we really gotta commit to it now because you've started this process.
Setting a goal and sticking with it no matter what. This has been a crazy. I'm really humbled by all the support that people have given me. I mean, even just the paint itself being sponsored. Gerald Tidwell, he's another artist, and him and his family have sponsored the brushes that I use. They're Tidwell MAC brushes, and I do a lot of illustration work with them. They're not the pinstriping brushes, the short-handled ones that you normally see. They're the longer-handled, neon-colored brush handles. Mm-hmm. The artists use them for illustration work or lettering, and so I've used those on this canvas, and the whole thing kind of just I thought of it, all the 10 paintings came to me, and then everybody else kind of joined. And I had just called Trent and said, hey, I have this picture of yours I want to use in one of these paintings. And the instant I said that, he's like, I'm in. Okay, what picture? And he was so on fire for it that it got me even more on fire for it. And then we ended up growing this friendship. And so now it's we love him, and he has everything that guy touches has just turned into something amazing, in my opinion. Yeah. He's extremely talented and very humble.
Yeah, absolutely. We had his brother-in-law, right?
His brother-in-law,
Mikey.
Now. Yeah, Mikey Brown.
Mikey Brown on the podcast, and Trent set it all up for him, and he had done he had just built and finished the banana hammock, is what he called it. Yeah. And they were releasing the movie that Trent shot for it and everything for it. Everything that they're doing, we are absolutely about it. So we're going to be working with Speed and Culture as well, along with several other entities that are coming on board with the Kustom couple. So
that's great. That's so great.
Yeah, we're excited.
Yeah, and then coming at the end of this month, the newest release, Speed and Culture magazine, will have my artwork on the cover and also a pull-out poster that you can hang up in your garage of a couple of like the coolest cars I've ever painted. So I have a whole article in there that he's helped me write up, and a lot of it's about the series and the kind of the origins of my studio. So that's coming out at the end of November. It's going to be the Christmas issue. So I'm super excited.
Nice.
It's going to be my first cover for a magazine. So I'm freaking stoked.
And that is awesome. It's so cool how small like the world is. You know, all of the coolest people hang out together, of course.
Yeah, it's like that. They say like birds of a feather flock together. You know, it's like that's what's so cool about the car world. We just met up with somebody last night that, you know, we were just bashing Instagram, but like we met y'all through Instagram.
We've had a lot of like really far away friends, but like are really good friends. Like there's a father and son duo.
Oh, yes.
Spider Garage is their Instagram, and they've built this Monza Spider with his son.
Mm-hmm.
And they've taken a hot rod power tour and all that. And their story is really cool. And they have their own YouTube series, and they're got their sponsors and all that. He does contracting for the Army. And so he was out at Fort Hood. He was like, hey, would y'all want to meet up? So we met him at the local,
Mexican restaurant
and had margaritas and hung out with them. And we're like, next time you're in town, let us know, and you can crash at our house.
Yeah,
or whatever.
and now y'all are in like a men's Bible study together, and all kinds of really like cool stuff. How it all works out, you know. Mm-hmm. So if you're willing to put the effort in to like make that connection that's past the social media, like how our family and y'all's family in a very like long time ago, if you're willing to like actually make those connections person to person, it's unreal. You know what they can do for your. Just not just for like networking, but just as friends. Like we've got a lot of friends out of it, so it's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Like social media serves its purpose, for the meeting, but then you like you said, you take that extra step and you go and actually meet somebody and sit down and have a meal, or sit down and just hang out and talk. Like that's where the world kind of has gone, out in left field.
Yeah, I agree.
It's a tool, not a end all be all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And like when Hagerty came and filmed the Jeepster for their web series Why I Drive, the two guys that came out and filmed it and everything, like we're like lifelong friends with them now.
Yeah.
We're coming through, and we're going to stay with y'all and hang out.
Yeah, go eat barbecue.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how when I did my old podcast, the Rust Culture Project, that's how I met the Hooligans Car Club, and I ended up being a hooligan like about a year after I did an interview with them. I ended up joining their car club. So
that's so cool.
It like.
I was wondering how y'all were associated with them. That's really cool. That's how you met them.
Yeah, I met them. I did 3 interviews in one day, and it was just me. So I had all my recording equipment, microphones, and everything. I had an interview at Martin's. Yeah, Martin's Rod and Lampasas, and then right after that, I did an interview with a pinup model that lived in Lampasas, her and her husband. I ended up becoming great friends with her husband and her, and he worked at the local college out there as well. And then the Hooligans, I had about 5 of them sit down at a picnic table with me and talk about their car club. I tried to do all of that in one day and then drive back to San Antonio.
Wow, that's a heck of a day. I mean, that's how we met, is through a car club. I mean, it was a Jeep club, but...
But, Willen mentioned the Hot Rod Passes Inline 6, who rents their booth out from them, actually is the one who painted our Polera.
Yes.
So,
Lorna.
Yeah, so small world again.
Yeah, we met at a car show. Well, you saw me first, and then we went to the car show the very next year together. But
that's awesome. Did you have a car there, or were you there for like modeling?
I was there to model and hang out with another car club. They're the Lone Star Lords. So I knew one of the girls there, and she's like, "You need to come out." And I was like, "No, I don't really feel like it. I don't want to." And I wound up going. and he was a photographer at the time, and he actually took pictures of my little one, my daughter Penny. He took pictures of her because she was like 2 years old. She would go in front of cars and she would just smile. And I was like, okay, well, I didn't come here to take pictures. She did, obviously.
Yeah, she
still does that to this day. She will go in front of cars and she'll just be like, cheese. I'm like, okay. I just stand here. I just hold her toy. It's fine.
I love that.
Knows how it works.
She learned well from her mama.
But
it's so good.
Yeah, so ever since then, I mean, we've just loved cars. I've always loved them. My parents used to, fix them up, sell them, drive everything. So that was kind of like where I got into it a lot. And when we met, I was like, well, you know everybody. I want to learn everything. I want to know how to do everything.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, my first podcast had about 100 episodes, and I've talked to people from all over the world. So like when I did that and I was doing this whole media company, I ended up knowing a bunch of people. Like I made so many contacts and so many people who wanted to stay in contact. And so all of the people that I talked to then are now sponsoring our podcast. And, it's just really cool how like the whole networking really like works. I mean, if you want to put the time and effort into it, like, there's big things to do in all of this. And like, you don't have to just stay at home and watch YouTube all day.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when I went to SEMA, that the whole Red Cap company was so shocked like at how much we were using it as like a marketing experience, because I knew there was
meeting other people.
Yeah, there was so many things. I mean, we must have walked, everyone says they must have walked hundreds of miles, but we truly they gave us the time frame we needed to be in the booth, and outside of that I had like a full list of all these different companies I wanted to go introduce myself to. And he was on the sticker hunt, so we would like separate, and he'd just get like a basket of stickers, all the free stuff. But it was so cool because I got to meet his Instagram and studio name is Studio 66 Hot Rods, but his name is Gene. And I just knew him through Instagram, and I happened to be at the One Shot booth, like, enamored at the time that I was actually just standing there. And this artist came up to me and he said, "Oh, you're Kate with Asphalt Canvas Customs." And I was like, "You're Gene with Studio 66. And literally, he was so genuine and nice. He was like, "How about you come out here tomorrow and you can paint with us?" And I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, just come out and paint with us." And it was just a matter of him like believing that I could do that. And I went there the next day and I got to paint with him and one other artist at the freaking One Shot booth. And it was like an experience that I could have never had I not made the effort to go, but also had he not been genuine enough and kind enough to invite me to do something like that. And that's where I think networking works the best, is when both parties are like genuine with each other. It's not just like, "Oh, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine." It's like, no, I actually want to help you. And that's what he did for me in my studio. It was unforgettable.
That's exactly how because I've usually like, before I met my husband, like I would go to shows and I kind of was just like, "Oh, I'm going to be over here and be by myself." I was really shy. Yeah. So when he was like, "Oh, we're going to do a custom couple podcast together." And I was like, I don't like talking. You know this. I don't like being on the microphone. And so like, as we've been like going to more shows and doing more things, like that's why I've stepped more into like the pinup world of it. Because I've always done it. I've always loved the style, but I never was like, "Oh, I'm going to go on stage. I'm going to, be myself. I'm going to be up there." And I'm like, "Oh, hell, I don't want to do that. I'm going to fall." And like ever since Invasion, like being able to like talk about, my 59 Buick, talking about working on the cars and, not just dressing like it, but being a part of the culture. Like, I've met so many amazing women that are like in the scene and doing photo shoots. And, we'll be back in Dallas for a photo shoot that I won for Miss Invasion. But like people are starting to like message me and talk to me, be like, "When are y'all going to be here? Can y'all come out to this? Or can you promote this for me? I'll send you stuff." And I'm like, "Wow, this is so nice. Everybody's so nice to me."
Yeah.
Oh yes, but it's for good reason. You're not trying to like fake it till you make it. Like you did it in fear and you got through it. And I mean, I was the same way. Like I like pinstriping at shows. It still gives me like, my sweaty palms and like heart palpitations, but like you just do it in fear. And the more you do it, it like becomes a comfortable, natural thing, and the more genuine you become in that field in that industry. So that's really cool. Congratulations on that, because that's a really big deal.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it was my first invasion. It was my first time entering, and the girls that I met, they were so sweet, and they're like, "Oh, it's like my second or third." And I was like, "Oh, okay. So this will just be my first go at it. We'll be fine."
Yeah.
I was like, "This is fine." I was like, "I'm glad everybody was so nice to me." And then like when they're like top 3, I was like, "Oh God, this is real." I was like, "Okay." Like they got a good picture of me of like just like pure ecstasy of happiness. Like you can see it on my face. I was like, "This is so good." I remember telling him, I was like, this is great. I wouldn't stop smiling all day. I did not stop. Like that was just like, wow, that was like my I made it moment, because that's such a big show. So I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, that is so special.
That's like, I saw y'all post about Ventura Nationals.
Yes.
She did the trophy 2 years ago.
Yes, yeah, so, they do those really cool Moon Disc awards.
Yes.
They have a grouping of them, and they always have different artists and stuff paint them, custom paint them for all the different types of awards they give out. So I did the Chick Pick Award, and it was sponsored by Clay Smith Cams. And it was so fun. I did like this whole collage of like true vintage pinup posters. And then I painted on top of it this like really delicate female hand holding like a key with a keychain on it of the, the pink can, the bird,
Mr. Speed.
Mr. Speed.
Yeah.
But it was Mr. Speed, so she was pink. But yeah, that was a
But
really cool show.
they called her up on stage to introduce the winner.
Yes.
I got it all on video, of course. And like to see her reaction, like when they presented, it was really cool.
Yeah, I was one of those genuine, because they didn't tell me they were gonna get me up on stage to present the award to the lady who won it, and I was like, no, hell, I'm not. No, I'm gonna, like, I don't need to go up on stage. And it was just like I had such a moment of joy seeing her reaction to the award. It was so special, and so I just know that feeling. And yeah, he got it on video, so I totally get that pure joy moment. We're lucky to have those.
Yes. Oh no, he is always my biggest supporter, my biggest cheerleader. He's always the one. He's like, I make sure to get the shot. I always make sure. I'm like, well, that's amazing, because I don't pay attention to that.
It takes a team for sure. I know. I'm sure you're equally as supportive of what he does and everything. So it definitely works both ways.
It's like the meme you see of Chip and Joanna Gaines, where she's like on Good Morning America, and he's outside behind the glass going like this.
So it's like, you got this, babe. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, that kind of is our role, that.
Yeah.
I don't want to say that the men have been in the spotlight forever, but really, like, it's always kind of been a man's world. The whole, they work on cars, they go to these car shows, they hang out with their buddies, and they drink beer, and and that's a typical thing. I'm not saying it's not. But when my wife said that she wanted a car, and I said, well, shit, yeah, let's do this, and then she started showing me cars that she wanted, I thought I had hit the freaking lottery when she showed me a 1960 Plymouth. Said, look at these fins.
That was our first car that we painted.
Oh, wow.
We brought home. We worked on. I spilled oil all down the driveway. It was great.
Oh, girl, I have totally been there before. I remember doing an oil change, and I didn't screw the filter on correctly. I mean, this was like hundreds of oil changes in my life, and for some reason, we were at his house.
For some reason, it didn't go all the way on.
Yes, and I was just like, oh my God, this babe, I'll help you. I'll do the oil change. And I screwed that filter on and walked away, and I walked back out.
I looked up, and there was just like a black mass growing up the running car.
Yes, like we had to pay somebody to come out and freaking power wash professionally that driveway, because it was in a subdivision. So like it was so damn obvious that we had that happen.
Well, they already had stains on top of that.
Oh, I was so embarrassed. And we had been dating for a while, but I was still like, oh my God, don't look at me. Like, don't tell anybody. I was so embarrassed.
No, that's literally what happened. He's like, oh, just be ready to catch. I was like, yeah. It happened, and I was just watching it go down. And he was like, are you going to? I was like, oh, I forgot. And you just see, I was like, don't look at it. Don't look at it. Don't tell anybody.
Say nothing.
Well, it happens to the best of us. My truck, diesel truck, of course, those hold like 3 gallons of oil.
Yeah.
And it was just a pain in the butt. And for some reason, I was in a hurry, and I took the drain plug out, and 3 gallons of oil, black diesel staining oil all over the driveway.
Same driveway.
She said she looked up and she just heard this yell, and it was me just cussing,
Yes.
throwing tools. And
Yeah, my studio is like at that house was like directly in front of the garage.
well,
So I
I
had
was
like
here.
I had like full
Yeah.
view of the driveway. So whenever there was something wrong, like I could hear, I could hear the cussing, and I was like, okay, gotta get coffee ready, and I'll go out there and just see if he's okay. It'll be the same thing in this house too, because we're building a shop in the backyard, and my studio is on the back side of our house, and so like I have a full like picture window of where the bay doors will be, and so
Yeah.
it'll be equally as funny if he makes mistakes and I can hear them from. I just shut the
Awesome. Well, folks, let's go ahead and wrap this up so our listeners can get back to their normal daily lives. And is there anybody that you would like to give some shout outs to, or people who have influenced you that have gotten you to this point in your life?
I think for me, like I've already shouted out a lot of people that have been, recently like huge influence and support. Obviously our family for sure has been so supportive. I mean, because I'm not one of those artists where my family was like, oh, that's a bad profession, you won't make any money. I'm one of the rare cases where my family was like, do it and do it with everything you got and all your heart, and God will provide. And that's exactly what he's done. So I'd say definitely my family.
Yeah. I mean, well, her.
Aw.
Points. Points. We always go for the points.
Definitely support.
This is recorded.
We will send this video to you so you have
Yeah.
it.
Yes. Well, thank
No,
you guys.
Definitely her and family, and
Yeah.
most as I know that have supported me they're not in the car world per se or anything, but it's, like I said, I run with a bunch of old dudes, but definitely them. So
Yeah, definitely. And we thank you guys for having us on. We
appreciate
really
it.
appreciate it. And we love you.
Absolutely.
maybe we'll see you at Battle Rod.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And then, so yeah, shout out to all the old dudes.
See ya.
The mostly true ones.
The mostly true stories out there.
So, should we say where people can find us?
Absolutely.
Go right ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm on Instagram as Texas Original Culture or Texas Original 64. Follow me both there, and website is texasoriginalculture.com
With a K.
with a K. You can subscribe to my newsletter, blogs, big things in the works with becoming actual Texas Original members. So keep an eye out for that. And Facebook, of course, Texas Original Culture.
Yeah, and then I'm Asphalt Canvas Art on Instagram, and then Asphalt Canvas Customs on Facebook, and then my website is asphaltcanvascustomart.com, and you can find all my other links there and my newsletter sign up.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And of course, y'all listen to this podcast. You know where you can find us on Apple and Spotify. And in all things custom, keep it cool.
Bing, bang, boom. See you next Tuesday.
Don't say see you next Tuesday.
I can poop anywhere.
We know.